TRACY, host of the Today Show in Halton Region and host of Unstoppable You on Roku. We're on your TV, Roku, around the world with the Disability Channel. And today I have an extraordinary adversity specialist who is mastering the art of resiliency all of her life as somebody that's an ambassador for MS Society in Canada. She is part of the organization Kind Projects, and she has lived through an extraordinary story we heard before the commercial. During COVID, her parents were one of the first to be impacted and needing now to exercise her own resilience. And so she's joining us now to share more of her story going forward. So, you know, when COVID started, I don't think you were part of the Kind Projects.
Yeah, Kind Projects is my own company, and I've had it for several years, and I do projects with it. So basically, I support companies, mostly charities and not-for-profit groups or for-profit companies that have a philanthropic approach.
Nice.
And so what we do is we help them with their awareness campaigns and fundraising campaigns. Sometimes companies just need a project, an event, an MC for an event, a silent auction, whatever. And so we help with those projects to get them through.
Which is extraordinary. And one of your ties to the Halton region is your brother,
yes,
as well as your company. So many times you find yourself in Halton.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, my brother and his family, they live there. I love visiting there, the greenery, and you can just drive there and find something to do. The fairgrounds, there's so many nice things there. And then, of course, being a speaker, I do a lot of speaking and workshops and training. I have many clients, obviously, in that area and globally for that fact. So it's a lovely thing.
Which is phenomenal. And someone named Charles Wilton is putting in the comments, hey, good for you. Keep it up. Much love your way. I don't know if this is a stranger or an audience participant, but I wanted you to know that was out there. Thank you, Charles. We certainly welcome comments and chat and questions throughout, and we'll bring it back and say another piece of the puzzle that's more current for you right now is that you're this ambassador across Canada, a little bit of a TV star as a result of it all with the MS Society Canada. But they've just had a really big walk on May 30th. But people need to know it's not over, right? There's lots going on still. What do you want to share about that world?
Oh, thank you. So I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 17 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I've been living with it for quite some time. Now, I admit that when I was first diagnosed, it was one of those things where I kept it inside. I don't necessarily give that advice to anyone, but I know why I did. And I was silent for truthfully the first few years, which really had a massive impact and a massive burden on my shoulders. I did tell my fiance at the time and my immediate family, but that was it. I waited to tell my friends, my colleagues, and others. But when I was ready, I did. And when I did, that's when things opened up for me. And I started with the Society of Canada, and it was starting to do their walks and their golf tournaments. And then I was doing different campaigns and emceeing their events. And it's just been a beautiful journey because I was able to meet people like, it's one thing to be able to do research about what MS is and the symptoms, but it's another to have a conversation with someone saying, what kind of lethargy do you have? Or when you have spasticity, where do you have it? And so we're able to share those stories, and that's really important to build a community with whatever it is you're going through. And so being so involved in the walk and other things, it helps me tremendously heal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're the same. We're all of service to people. So when
Yes.
you give service to someone, you just automatically feel better.
Yeah, it fills your soul. Yeah, people say, how are you coping with the pandemic? Making a difference for others is a massive coping skill.
Yes, I totally agree, TRACY, and I know you get it because you're the exact same way. And so being of service to others, it really heals my soul and being kind. And, when I'm at my low, like when my dad passed and this year that he's passed, if I'm down, like I'm really down or I'm not feeling well, I'll just, do the LinkedIn recommendation without anybody asking me to. It's these acts of kindness that help us heal. That's what we need in our world. And so I'm hoping, just day by day, just little by little, progress is still progress. So.
Oh, yeah. A big part of the fundraising is fundraising for research, but also awareness. And you say yourself, you kept it to yourself, and it was when you opened up that you started to access more resources for yourself. What's the awareness? This show is international on Roku, and it's certainly very active in Halton region on your TV, Kojiko. What do you want our listeners to learn for themselves or for their neighbors or their family or their friends that may or may not have MS? What's a bit of awareness that you could share?
Oh, I've learned wholeheartedly that there are a lot of invisible illnesses out there. The list is long, and it goes from mental health challenges to arthritis to, the lupus. Like, the list is so long, and sometimes we just live with it in ourselves. But the turning point for me also was there was a day that I sneezed. When I sneezed, keeping it inside. You know those mouse-like sneezes when you go, like, you just keep it inside because you're in the movie theater, you don't want anybody to hear.
Yeah.
I'm one of these loud sneezers, like a whack, and so for me to keep it inside, that was different for me. But what happened minutes later, blood started coming from my eye. And so I went to the doctor, and what they said was I just burst a blood vessel in my eye. A few weeks after, it started to heal, it started to gravitate towards, and then I was fine. It didn't affect my vision. But what I was taught was that I was lucky, because what happened is I could have actually ruptured my eardrum or torn my esophagus. And what I learned was that sneeze is one of the most powerful forces of the human body. And what I did was I blocked it. I stopped it from coming out, right?
Yeah.
Than going on a highway at a very fast speed and then stopping at a brick wall. What do you think's going to happen, right? And this is not a lesson on sneezing, but what it is, keep something inside, all we're doing is hurting ourselves. And so, our brains have cortisol, which is that stress hormone. And so what we're doing by keeping things inside is we're feeding the cortisol. We're making up stories. We're making it worse. And we're believing this old thing. That's not healthy. It's not healthy. And that's not going to help.
No.
So what I learned was the difference of, okay, how do I release positive neurotransmitters? Dopamine, endorphins, serotonin. How do I get happy? How do I find joy? And the key there is gratitude. It might sound simple. We all know the importance of gratitude and kindness. But the reality is when you can really inject it into your brain and practice it on a daily basis, it works.
Wow.
Yeah. And from gratitude, you get joy. See, joy is one of the few emotions that it can be shared with one another. So, for example, if you're happy, you can't also be sad. If you're sad, you can't also be happy. It's one or the other. But if you have joy, you can still be sad and concerned because joy is an emotion that you can't share. So that's the key here, is really doing that mindset.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity for the gift of gratitude to increase my dopamines so that I can have gratitude leading to so much joy having you on the show today, Gaby Mammone. We have 2 minutes left to say goodbye to our listeners. And before I do, how can people find you for speaking, for events, for kind projects, for MS Society awareness deliverables, just to connect with you because they adore you and they want you as a coach? How do people find you?
Thank you so much, Tracy. So they can find me online. All of my handles is my full name, which is Gaby, Gaby. So remember, 1B. Mammone. So it's Mammone. Mammone. And those are all of my handles. You can certainly reach me online. And yes, I do career and speed coaching, and I do, some diversity, inclusion, and acceptance training. So I'm here to help.
Yes. Partners in crime. I highly recommend Gaby with 1B, and we love supporting each other. I highly, highly recommend her on many, many fronts. Thank you for joining me on Unstoppable You, because you are unstoppable, and for having our listeners feeling unstoppable with the gift of gratitude reminded, and for joining us on the Today Show in the Halton region, on your TV Kojiko, and on Roku around the world with the Disability Channel. Thank you for listening, everyone. Gaby with 1B, Gaby Mammone. You want to check her out. Stalk her Instagram, Facebook, and learn more. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening.